Blue Star. Beijiang City No. 1 High School, Class 6 of Senior 3. Chen Yulang sat in his seat, staring at the blackboard with a serious face. Those who didn't know thought that brother Xian Yulang was going to be angry, so he listened to the class carefully. But in fact, Chen Yulang was just studying the system panel that suddenly appeared in his mind. Player, Chen Yulang level, LV1, 1/100, title, A Stupefied Novice. Achievements, none. Attributes, Strength 2, Toughness 2, Wisdom 2, Spirit 2, Agility 2, Charisma 2, Luck 2. Evaluation, 2 to burst. Intimate Tip 1, this game has a very high degree of freedom and requires players to experience and explore by themselves. Warm Tip 2, the final interpretation right of this game belongs to the system. I wish you a happy life. It seems that I was bound by the system. Xianyu Chen Yulang secretly reads online novels in class every day, which is obviously all too familiar. He began to study the system with great interest. Then I found that in addition to the basic panel, there are also modules such as skill bar, shopping mall, and equipment bar that have not been unlocked. Just when he was wondering what the gameplay of this system was, an even more incredible scene appeared in front of him. Inside the spacious classroom, above each classmate's head, there seems to be a floating frame of text. LV1 Fishing Monster, a little monster that hides quietly in a corner, harmless to humans and animals, good at various paddling postures, harmless to humans and animals. LV1, Fishing Monster, LV1, Fishing Monster. Chen Yulang's mouth twitched. Good guy, there are actually more than a dozen fishing monsters in a classroom of more than 40 people. I usually see you all looking like honest people, but who would have thought that they would gather a crowd behind their backs and do such shameful things? Of course, in addition to the fishing monster that filled the screen, Chen Yulang also saw some other creatures. LV1 Scumbag, a kind of mobs with a hidden aura by nature, with a low sense of existence and no danger. Note, on that day, the scumbag finally recalled the days when he was ruled by the tyrants and the gods. LV2 Swiba, a kind of eye-catching monster, it is born with its own involution properties, and it is dangerous to a certain extent. It is recommended to stay away. Note, of course, if you are strong enough, you can also join. LV3 Bad Boy, a monster with poor temperament and aggressiveness, it is recommended to stay away. Within a time, the entire high school class 6 seems to have become a game map, and the screen is full of all kinds of monsters. It's interesting. Chen Yulang looked at the surrounding environment with great interest, but suddenly noticed the floating frame above his desk mate. LV5 Ultimate Learning God, the top evolutionary form of learning tyrants and learning gods, it can be said to be the king of scroll kings, and it is an existence that makes all the scumbags and academic wastes tremble. Note, don't ask, just run. Chen Yulang's body trembled, and suddenly he felt a little chill on his back. The system was right. His table mate is Chen Jiawai. He is very bookish and has good grades, ranking first in his grade all the year round. It is said that Chen Jiawai's life is not only learning, but also learning, and he can't wait to learn 25 hours a day. Chen Yulang, what are you doing? As if noticing Chen Yulang's gaze, Chen Jiawai glanced at the former, and said angrily, if you don't listen to the class well, are you going to be the first in the exam next week? Chen Jiawai was both the class leader and the study committee member. The class teacher had previously arranged for her to sit at the same table with Chen Yulang just to make her focus more on the latter to study. Being taunted by the ultimate scholar. HP10 A new message box popped up in front of him, and at the same time, as if his body had really been attacked, Liu Shen suddenly felt a slight pain and discomfort. Chen Yulang checked his status bar and found that his health bar had been shaved off a little, leaving only 95% of it. Oh day! As expected of the ultimate academic god, this damage is really hard enough. And according to the feeling just now, when his health value drops, his body will indeed feel physical discomfort. Chen Yulang couldn't help but make a bold guess. When his HP drops to 0, there is a real possibility that he will die. Thinking of this, Chen Yulang could not help but take a small breath. Fortunately, he found that his health seemed to be able to recover naturally. For example, in the few minutes he was thinking about, his HP value rose to 96%. Okay. Mathematics teacher Yang Shijun tapped a few times on the blackboard with a pencil and said, "The knowledge points about the calculation of the circumscribed sphere of solid geometry will be discussed here first. I'll give you 5 minutes to sort things out a little bit, and I'll randomly select 2 students to come up and give you a demonstration." The voice fell. Originally, there were some whispered conversations in the classroom, which would be silent and quiet as death. Ding! A new hidden quest has been triggered, the math teacher's trial. NPC, Yang Shijun. Conditions to be met, complete the assigned classroom tasks. Details, it's time to make the world look at you with admiration, boy. Chen Yulang. It always feels a little sudden. It's also a kind of secondary disease. Doesn't this mean that he is the one who will be drawn by the math teacher later? The problem is that he knows how to calculate the outside ball. He has to know the math test with a score of 150, but he has never scored a score of 60. Brain pain. Chen Yulang was a little overwhelmed and looked around subconsciously. At this time, he noticed again that something seemed to happen to Chen Jiawei at the same table. On the status bar above Chen Jiawei's head, an icon in the shape of a brain appeared, and it was still flickering slightly. The target has entered a state of concentration. Concentration, in this state, the learning ability is greatly improved, the intelligence value is improved, and the perception ability of the outside world is greatly reduced. Hint: when the other party's focus is not yours, this may be a good opportunity. Opportunity. Chen Yulang was a little puzzled. But he seemed to have a faint smell of doing things. After thinking for a while, the corners of Chen Yulang's mouth turned up slightly involuntarily. He quietly leaned his body back slightly. Chen Jiawei, who was concentrating on sorting out knowledge points, was completely unaware of Chen Yulang's actions and was still immersed in her own world. This posture, as if the end of the world can't stop her from studying. Chen Yulang, who was full of bad water, laughed mischievously, and suddenly slapped Chen Jiawei on the arm. Yet, Chen Jiawei was shocked and screamed in a low voice. And a new prompt text appeared in front of Chen Yulang: "You used the palm strike, successfully inflicted a lot of mental damage on the LV5 Ultimate Academic God, and obtained experience plus 12 gold plus 32. Good guy." Unexpectedly, it actually succeeded. Chen Yulang couldn't help feeling a little surprised. As he expected, these monsters all around could be attacked by himself. It's like fighting monsters in an online game. Although Chen Yulang still doesn't know exactly what this way of killing monsters is, it seems that as long as it causes a certain degree of damage to the monsters, even if it is mental damage. For example, the shock he caused Chen Jiawei was a wave of mental attacks. With the gold coins that you have obtained into the warehouse, the game interface has also undergone some changes. The mall system module has been unlocked, please explore by yourself. Chen Yulang immediately opened the mall to observe and found that there was only one product for sale. Lucky treasure chest, 1000 gold coins, 1 inventory. Balance, 32 gold coins. It's not enough. Looks like there are still a lot of fights. Chen Yulang was eager to try it. What are you doing, Chen Yulang? Chen Jiawei was ashamed and angry, and said in a low voice. Although her cry just now was not loud, it still caused a small movement in the quiet classroom. A large group of water-scheming monsters looked back at her curiously, and I have to say that it was a little embarrassing. Just now a mosquito stopped on you, and I slapped it to death for you. Chen Yulang said indifferently. Where? How did I see it? Chen Jiawei studied her arm earnestly. However, Chen Yulang's attention quickly shifted to other places. Because it seems that something new has appeared. Ultimate Learning God. After being hurt, a slightly shimmering object fell out. After bouncing and rolling on the table for a while, it stopped in the middle of Chen Yulang's textbook. Chen Yulang looked around again, convinced that there was no other person who could see this thing besides himself. He frowned slightly, realizing that things didn't seem that simple. Take a bold guess. This thing, shouldn't it be a dropped things? With such a new year in mind, Chen Yulang tentatively stretched out his hand and tried to touch that shiny thing. Ding! Get, knowledge point x6 knowledge point. It is formed by the condensed will and spiritual power of scholars, and it is mostly produced in the bodies of academic gods and academic tyrants. Chen Yulang. It really is. His slap actually brought out the knowledge points in Chen Jiawai's mind, which is a bit outrageous. At the same time as the prompt sound appeared, Chen Yulang found that there was an extra shiny item in his inventory. At the same time, in his mind, there are suddenly many more skills and methods about the calculation of receiving balls. This kind of feeling is as if someone suddenly pried open his Tianling cover with an axe, and then poured all the mathematical knowledge into it. Chen Yulang, that's how he realized. It's a bit sudden, and a bit rude. Number 2 and no 22. The math teacher said loudly, "You two come up and do this problem." The math teacher ordered the student number, while Chen Yulang from number 2 and Zhang Ming from number 22 stood up. Almost at the same time, Chen Yulang saw all the fishing monsters in the classroom, and all raised their heads in unison. This group of guys were happily fishing frantically 1 second, and the next second they all stood up to watch the fun. It's easy to explain. After all, in class, as long as it is irrelevant to the class, everyone will listen carefully. It's over. Brother Lang seems to be caught by Lao Yang again. Old Yang wouldn't do it on purpose, he actually asked Zhang Ming and Brother Lang to do the quiz together. Isn't this a public execution? Actually, I don't know this question either, but when I think that the second model has Brother Lang at the bottom, I feel a lot better. The classmates whispered. It's hard not to notice. Zhang Ming is the math class representative in the class. He even got a high score of 140 in the last monthly exam. And Brother Lang has always been the tail of the crane in the class. No matter how you look at it, it feels a bit like doing things. But no way. Since it's all over, then we can only bite the bullet. Chen Yulang didn't think much, got up calmly and walked to the podium. He is such a person, if you don't panic in advance, even if there is an earthquake, you can send a circle of friends first. As a result, when he walked to the podium, the situation seemed to be beyond his expectations. He actually seemed to know how to solve this problem. In the parallelogram ABCD, AB is perpendicular to BD, and 2 AB 2 plus BD 2 equals 4, and the quadrilateral is folded along BD into plane ABD plane BDC. What is the surface area of the triangular pyramid ABVD's circumscribed sphere? Obviously, he didn't understand the knowledge points mentioned by the math teacher in this class, but Chen Yulang felt that this question was not difficult at all. The related question STEM interpretation, context and problem-solving skills come to mind so naturally. Because OA equals OB equals OC equals OD, AC2 equals AB2 plus BC2 equals 4, and because. So the surface area of the circumscribed sphere is 4 pi. Chen Yulang grabbed the chalk, and without thinking much, wrote the problem-solving process and answers on the blackboard. Teacher, I have finished the UU reading www.yukansha.com. Chen Yulang said. Yang Shijun was stunned for a moment, then looked at Zhang Ming, who was doing the same question with Chen Yulang on the other side of the blackboard, and he was still several minutes behind. Teacher, I'll be fine soon. Zhang Ming suddenly felt a little flustered, and the chalk in his hand trembled involuntarily, almost breaking on the board. After Zhang Ming finished writing the question, Yang Shijun carefully checked the answers of the two of them several times, with a look of disbelief on his face. Jiang Ming's calculation in the last step went wrong, missing a square symbol. Chen Yulang's calculation is correct, and the answer is correct. The voice fell. There was a sudden gasp in the classroom. What the hell, what Jiang Ming doesn't know, Brother Lang actually did it right. And Brother Lang did it faster, did you find it? Crap, it's not scientific, I'm going to doubt my life. There was a little commotion in the classroom of Class 6 of Senior 3. And at this time, in Chen Yulang's mind, the familiar voice of the system sounded again. Ding! You successfully inflicted mental damage to LV1 scumbag, and you get experience plus 5, gold plus 9 ding. You successfully inflicted mental damage to LV2 scumbag, and you get experience value plus 6, gold plus 10 ding. You successfully inflicted mental damage to LV3 scumbag, and you get experience value plus 7, gold plus 12. You have caused mental damage to LV3 scumbag, get experience value plus 7, gold plus 12. Chen Yulang was dumbfounded. The system prompts in his mind kept sounding, but Chen Yulang was stunned. Why are you fat for? Could it be that he made this question and suddenly caused a huge blow to the young minds of this group of student scumbags? But he really couldn't think of any other reason, so that was the only explanation. How could you do this question? After Chen Yulang returned to his seat, Chen Jiawei immediately said in surprise. Don't you? Chen Yulang asked rhetorically. Of course I will. Chen Jiawei's expression was a little weird. When I was in the tutoring class last night, the teacher happened to teach this question. It's quite classic, but I didn't expect you to be able to, because of this question it's really complicated. Oh, then I'm probably lucky. Chen Yulang said with a smile. Fortunately, Chen Jiawei happened to know this question, otherwise he might not be able to pick up relevant knowledge points. I don't know if it was an illusion. After saying this, Chen Yulang seemed to see a flash of admiration on Chen Jiawei's face. A math class that seemed to be unremarkable, but also thrilling, just passed. This is also the last class of the day. During this period, no other tasks and news were triggered. Chen Yulang was bored and could only pass the time by observing the dynamics of other monsters. In this math class, the students seemed to have been seriously injured by Chen Yulang. Until the moment when the school bell rang. Chen Yulang witnessed a miraculous scene with his own eyes. The blood bars of the school scumbags were replenished at the same time and restored to a green color that was healthier than the green grass in the world. Let's go, hurry up and cook in the dining hall. Hey, I'll go to the basketball court first, you guys hurry back to the dormitory to get the basketball. I won't have dinner with you tonight, my girlfriend is looking for me, hee. Chen Yulang? Wonderful. So these monsters are just a bunch of xiaoqiang who can be resurrected with full blood instantly when they hear the school bell? In less than 10 minutes, almost everyone in the entire classroom had left. Chen Yulang looked at the environment in the classroom again, and found that there were still more than 10 people who had not left. LV2 Academic Master, LV4 Scholar, LV3 Learning God. They stayed in the classroom and continued to study hard, as if all the guys in the world that had nothing to do with them were almost all academic masters and academic gods. Do not know why. Chen Yulang seemed to sense that a low pressure was coming, like a big devil's hand, pressing him down so hard that he couldn't breathe. Careful. The monster group activated the skill Breath of Involution. You have entered a negative state anxiety, and your health is slowly decreasing. HP1. The blood volume is slowly decreasing at a rate of about 1 point per minute. According to the current situation, Chen Yulang felt that he would not be able to die for a while. So he began to bear the damage of this breath of involution, observing the situation on the map. In order to make himself feel more reliable, Chen Yulang even stood up and walked slowly in the classroom for several times. The final conclusion is: the center of this breath of inner volume is Chen Jiawei's position. A cold sweat could not help slipping down Chen Yulang's forehead. No wonder breath of involution hurts me so obviously. If so, if you want to fight against this breath of involution, there are only two ways. First, kill LV5 Ultimate Learning God. If it really can't be done, at least it has to be hit hard. And there is one thing to say, this chubby Ultimate Learning God looks like a piece of fat at first sight. If you kill this monster, the reward that can be exploded will definitely not be too low. But the question is, how can we get rid of this thing? Chen Yulang couldn't help but have some weird thoughts about his beautiful desk. But the constantly beating prompt box in front of him interrupted his thoughts. HP2 HP3 Chen Yulang. Oh shit! Gradually, it started to get outrageous. Rather than thinking about this guy, it seems that the better thing to do now is to run away. Chen Yulang stood up as if nothing had happened, ready to leave the classroom first. Brother Lang. Lin Ji, who was sitting not far from him, suddenly stopped Chen Yulang. Wait a minute. What's up? Chen Yulang turned around. Brother Lang, have you been secretly studying recently? Did you answer that question in math class without thinking? This is too awesome. Can you teach me how to learn mathematics? I haven't been in the reviewing state recently, and this monthly exam will definitely fail. Lin Ji said with a sad face. Chen Yulang frowned slightly, feeling that things were not that simple. He vaguely remembered that Lin Ji's total score in the last Duan exam was still at the top of the class. Although he was still a little far from Chen Jiawei, his strength must be much higher than himself. And at this time, the message box that popped out of Lin Ji's head explained everything. LV3 Shue bitch, a kind of monster between the of learning and the scumbag, the talent is to hide, disguise, gain sympathy and transfer hatred. Chen Yulang. Sure enough. If you hadn't seen this row of prompts. When normal people looked at Lin Ji's harmless little eyes, they would definitely not be able to help but soften their hearts. No problem, but I'm a little hungry right now, so I might have to cook. Chen Yulang said, next time, definitely. After speaking, Chen Yulang waved to Lin Ji and left the classroom without looking back. The remaining Lin Ji stared at Chen Yulang's back in a daze. Damn! Could it be that Chen Yulang at the end of the crane is really going to counterattack? Lin Ji, who had not been able to touch Chen Yulang's bottom line, suddenly felt a little flustered. You reading www.youcanshu.com ding. You successfully evaded the attack of the LV3 school bitch, and caused a lot of damage to it, gaining experience value plus 14 gold coins plus 8 fortunately. On the way to the dining hall, Chen Yulang couldn't help but rejoice silently. Student bitch's attack was too invisible and difficult to detect, and he was going to be fooled just a little bit. Congratulations, your level has been improved. Player, Chen Yulang level, LV2 upgrade reward, gold plus 555, assignable attribute points x1. Assignable attribute points? Chen Yulang took a look at his attribute panel. The number 2 on the screen made him feel a little overwhelmed. But after thinking about it carefully, Chen Yulang added attribute points to the wisdom value. After all, the college entrance examination is about to take place. In this situation, a good brain is the most needed thing. Then, Chen Yulang immediately opened his inventory and inquired about the balance of gold coins. Sure enough, the gold coins for the upgrade reward, plus the gold coins that he had obtained from fighting monsters before, had already exceeded 1,000 gold coins. Without any hesitation, Chen Yulang directly opened the store interface and bought the lucky treasure chest worth 1,000 gold coins. Congratulations, you have obtained the lucky treasure chest. Do you want to use it immediately? Of course. Chen Yulang quickly made a choice. Ding! Congratulations! You opened the lucky treasure chest and got memory bread making diagram x100. Memory bread? Chen Yulang was stunned. I always feel that this thing seems very familiar, but I don't remember when and where I saw it. After carefully recalling it in his mind, Chen Yulang remembered a blue, round little fat man. Isn't this memory bread the future prop of that fat blue man? Chen Yulang was a little excited. He immediately opened the inventory and chose to use memory bread design drawings. Props used successfully. Mastered skills, LV1 memory bread making. Memory bread. The memory bread of the Xiao Ding Dang co-branded model is copied or engraved on it with the words and formulas that need to be recorded. After eating and digesting it, a longer-term memory can be formed. Remarks, applicable to those with severe amnesia. Materials, toast, knowledge points. Sure enough, the corners of Chen Yulang's mouth couldn't help but frantically twitch up. That night, Chen Yulang did not stay in the classroom for evening self-study with his classmates. He found a shabby reason similar to "my potato chips are about to expire, I want to ask for leave to go home to eat potato chips," and asked Molly, the head teacher, to take a leave. After school in the evening, Chen Yulang rode a small electric stove, speeding down the road at a speed of 40 km per hour, scavenging the toast in the nearby supermarket. Whole wheat, rye, buckwheat. Because the type of bread was not specified on the design drawings, Chen Yulang simply brought back some of the various types of bread. "Lang Lang, why didn't you study at school today?" Seeing that Chen Yulang suddenly pushed open the door and entered, Yang Si asked in surprise. "It's more atmospheric at home. What did you bring back, such a big bag?" Yang Si glanced at Chen Yulang's bulging school bag and asked with a frown. "Of course it's spiritual food." Chen Yulang said, "I won't tell you about Mom, I'll go to study first, and then call me at dinner." Chen Yulang went upstairs without looking back. Yang Si was left blankly standing there for a while. When did this stinky boy start studying so hard? Yang Si was inexplicably relieved, although he always felt that there was something strange. After returning to the room, Chen Yulang immediately opened his school bag and poured out all the breads in it. I looked at the inventory in my inventory again. Knowledge point x6. There are only 6 knowledge points from Chen Jiawai's body at the same table. But it should be enough for Chen Yulang's actions tonight. Synthesizing memory bread, ding. Unfortunately, the synthesis of memory bread failed. Ascension, failure is success, let's do it again, Sao Nian. Chen Yulang. Your broken mouth is so sweet, so comforting. Synthesizing memory bread, unfortunately, synthesizing memory bread, unfortunately, synthesizing memory bread, unfortunately. Lost 5 times in a row. Chen Yulang suddenly felt a little big. This was something he didn't expect. In this way, the situation is a little embarrassing. Although he has a lot of bread in his hand now, he has run out of knowledge points, and now there is only 1 left. But luckily it wasn't a waste. Because he found that every time he made memory bread, his proficiency in LV1 memory bread making would increase, even if the final production failed. Forget it, leave him alone. One last time, if it doesn't work, it will be pulled down. Chen Yulang gritted his teeth and performed the synthesis operation again. Synthesizing memory bread, ding. Congratulations! Successfully synthesized memory bread X1 NES, it worked. Chen Yulang was very surprised. Taking another look at his inventory, there was already a new piece of bread. Try it now. Chen Yulang glanced at his class schedule. The first class tomorrow morning happens to be the class teacher Molly's Chinese class. According to the usual style of the old class, the classical Chinese and prose in the morning reading class can't be run away. Thinking of this, Chen Yulang's body was shocked, and he quickly found a Chinese textbook from his school bag, and turned to classical Chinese. But soon the problem came again. The length of a piece of classical Chinese is generally about 300 or 400 words, how can I remember such a special piece of bread? Chen Yulang began to frantically scratch his head. JPG Suddenly, he seemed to have a new inspiration. Damn, wouldn't it be enough to make a miniature version? Chen Yulang did what he said. He turned on the computer, selected a piece of classical Chinese in the textbook, and used the document editing tool to directly compress it into the minimum number of words and minimum line spacing. After printing it out, Chen Yulang took out the memory bread and slapped it on it like a stamp, and actually printed all the dense handwriting on it. After such operations, Chen Yulang discovered that a piece of his memory bread could actually fit 2 classical Chinese texts. After all, a piece of toast has both sides, and he can even find a small corner and fill in 1 or 2 hard-to-remember English words after filling 2 classical Chinese texts. I'm gonna start now. Chen Yulang meditated in his heart, took out the toast and took a bite. To his surprise, Yu reading www.yuganchu. The calm memory bread turned out to be slightly better than he thought. At least it wasn't as bad as the European rough brown bread that could be used as a brick, and it even had a faint sweetness to it. But of course the point of memory bread is not the taste. Shortly after eating a piece of bread, Chen Yulang felt as if he had entered a new world. The steady stream of classical Chinese content seemed to be decomposed from his stomach, and then poured violently upwards, directly into his cerebral cortex. Very rude. But it's also very comfortable. Less than a minute. Chen Yulang felt that he had memorized all the contents of the 2 classical Chinese texts. Not right. It shouldn't be said that I remembered it myself. It should be said that these 2 texts broke into his body by themselves. Even if you want to forget, you can't forget it. Interesting. Chen Yulang suddenly felt that he had lost hope. Chen Jiawei was right. In the last time, he did get the first place in the class, but it was only the countdown. The second model is approaching soon, followed by the final third model and the college entrance examination. If he didn't hurry up, he might not get into a good university. Thinking of the hopeful and disappointed eyes of the father and mother, as well as the gossip of the 7 aunts and 3 aunts, Chen Yulang felt a little overwhelmed. Since this system has given me a chance to be a human again, why don't I cheer up? Chen Yulang suddenly felt himself on fire. Fuck it! Chen Yulang began to figure out his big plan to turn the salted fish over. Chen Yulang. Recite Peach Blossom Spring by heart. The next morning. In the morning reading class of Class 6 of Senior 3. Molly's eyes floated to and fro, and she didn't know why she floated on Chen Yulang's body. Yesterday, I was chatting with Yang Shijun about her class in the office, and I heard him say that Chen Yulang actually wrote a not-so-easy topic in class. The point is, he did it faster and more accurately than Zhang Ming. This made Molly very interesting. After all, she has been the head teacher for 3 years, and she has also brought this group of brats for 3 years. She knows the characteristics of each student like the back of her hand. A child like Chen Yulang, who has no sense of existence in the class and is almost completely lying flat, is basically unlikely to do such a thing. Human curiosity has 3 realms, the first is pure curiosity, the second is cheap, and the third is to do things. Yes. Molly wants to do something right now. So she named Chen Yulang's name randomly, not deliberately at all. As soon as he heard that Chen Yulang was named, the atmosphere in the class suddenly became active again. Scholarly scum, they all put down the mankers sandwiched between the textbooks, and invariably focused their attention on Chen Yulang. When he heard Molly's voice, Chen Yulang was still thinking about how to get more knowledge from Chen Jiawei. He still needs a lot of memory bread now, but if he has bread without the necessary knowledge points, it will be very uncomfortable. Chen Yulang reacted just now when he noticed the gaze that was focused on him from the class. This time, Chen Yulang stood up unhurriedly. In the Taiyuan period of the Jin dynasty, the people of Wuling fished for their business. In the beginning, I was very narrow, but I was able to understand people. After walking dozens of steps, I suddenly became enlightened. Almost without any interruptions, Chen Yulang memorized the entire text. The sound of Lang Lang's book reverberated in the classroom, flowing like clouds and flowing water. When Chen Yulang finished reading the last sentence, the entire classroom was silent for 4 or 5 seconds. Almost all the people in the class have been stunned, and they will not be able to return to their senses for a while. Their rogue brother. Is this the rhythm of rising? I always feel that this guy seems to have taken the wrong medicine these days, and suddenly he seems to be a different person. Not bad, memorized it word for word. Molly's face showed a look of surprise, and she finally smiled and nodded in praise. NPC Molly's favorability has been improved. The sound of the system made Chen Yulang panic a little. He was afraid that some hidden mission would be triggered suddenly, and Molly left him double the homework for tonight. Chen Yulang's study status has been very good recently, and he deserves encouragement. Everyone should learn from him. Molly continued, especially Yang Tao, Li Fu, and Zhou's Hequan, you should quickly adjust your status. Successfully caused a lot of mental damage to the LV4 student scum, and obtained gold plus 12 experience plus 8 successfully inflicts a lot of mental damage on the LV2 stalemate, obtaining gold plus 9 experience plus 6 successfully caused a lot of mental damage to the LV1 scumbag, and obtained gold plus 5 experience plus 3. The 3 good brothers who were suddenly named by Molly may never have imagined that they were killed. They all lay under the car and could be shot. Although this wave of unexpected gains was a bit of a surprise, Chen Yulang also discovered that as his level increased, the rewards he received from these low-level scumbags became less and less. It seems that there is no future in killing mobs all the time. It's time to step out of the novice village. Thinking of this, Chen Yulang's eyes drifted to Chen Jiawei involuntarily. This white, tender, and juicy ultimate learning god must be one. A day of study and life has gone by like this again. After school, the classroom of Class 6 of Senior Year 3 was the same as before, and soon a large group of people left. Those who stayed in the classroom and continued to work overtime and study were still the group of student masters and student gods. But today, Chen Yulang was not in a hurry. Chen Yulang is like a sheep in sheep's clothing, no, a sheep in wolf's clothing mixed in with a group of terrifying monsters. He has coveted Chen Jiawei, the ultimate god of learning, for a long time, so he started to find a way to fight monsters. After a while, the people in the classroom are almost gone. Those who stayed in the classroom were still the same group of student gods and student masters from before. Everyone began to re-enter the state of learning. Especially Chen Jiawei, she simply put on headphones, completely isolated all sounds from the outside world, and immersed herself in her learning world. The familiar low pressure hit again, and Chen Yulang began to feel the familiar physical discomfort again. The breath of involution is coming, please be careful to dodge. HP1. Oh shit! It started bleeding again. Chen Yulang felt a little big. If it goes on like this, let alone killing this big monster, it will probably be a problem whether you can save your little life. Looking at the slowly decreasing blood bar of his own, he made up for the scene of the equipment and gold coins bursting out when the monster was hacked to death. Chen Yulang gritted his teeth and made up his mind to hold on for a while to observe the situation more. A real man should have held on a little longer. Just like that, Chen Yulang carried the breath of involution raised by LV5 Ultimate Learning God, and sat silently on the side without making a sound. HP has gradually dropped to 80% left. Chen Yulang quickly turned his head to think, read www.yuyuganshu.com suddenly had a wonderful idea. What is the way to deal with involution? Are you fleeing? Not right. The best way is to be more curly than it is. This is the experience handed down by the older generation, the scientific name is fighting poison with poison. Thinking of this, Chen Yulang opened the door to a new world in an instant, as if he was enlightened. He immediately took out the math workbook from his school bag and began to study. It seems that she heard the movement beside her, and Chen Jiawei looked sideways with some doubts. That moment, she suspected that she was watching a science fiction movie. Chen Yulang, he is actually doing his homework. She has always been at the same table with Chen Yulang under the arrangement of the head teacher. It has been 3 years since the first year of high school, and it was the first time that she saw Chen Yulang doing his homework seriously. And after school, he consciously left to study actively. So this guy has his brain caught in the door recently? No matter how you look at it, it's not normal. Chen Jiawei was a little confused. But the sudden change in Chen Yulang made Chen Jiawei feel a little uneasy. Even a crane tail like Chen Yulang is starting to get angry, so why doesn't she have to study hard? Thinking of this, Chen Jiawei raised her spirits and continued to devote herself to her studies. The concentration of the breath of the inner volume is rapidly increasing. HP1 HP5 HP10. Chen Yulang? Chen Yulang was numb. It's really a puppy's hook. The development of this plot seems to be out of control. It's completely wrong. Hey! Why did the strength of breath of involution increase instead? Is there something wrong with the way you operate? Chen Yulang was a little puzzled. But fortunately, the damage of breath of involution is slowly increasing, and it won't die for a while. Chen Yulang decided to hold on for a while longer. Under the pressure of breath of inner volume on his head, Chen Yulang silently started the calculation on the scratch paper. Fortunately, I listened to a math class for the first time in the world today, and I also remembered a lot of what the teacher taught. Only then did I successfully complete a question. You have finished writing a math problem, and your knowledge points have been consolidated. Gain experience points +2, knowledge points +1. Fuck. Chen Yulang couldn't help taking a deep breath in his heart. Good guy, so you can get knowledge points by doing the questions yourself? Although it sounds quite reasonable, Chen Yulang never thought of this level at all. After all, for a scumbag, it is impossible to do homework, and it is impossible in this life. Do it again. Chen Yulang suddenly felt himself on fire. Soon, with his full concentration and independent thinking, he also solved the second math problem. Ding! You have finished writing a math problem, and your knowledge points have been consolidated. Gain experience points +3, knowledge points +1. Really? Chen Yulang's body began to get excited inexplicably. He started to want more. Strange to say. On weekdays, Chen Yulang, who is obviously a big head when he sees homework and problems, at this moment actually thinks that this is such a pleasant thing. Chen Yulang subconsciously licked his dry lips, and threw himself into the math homework thoroughly and wholeheartedly. Ding! You have completed a math problem, ding! You have completed a math problem, ding! You have completed a math problem. The crisp prompt sound that kept ringing in his mind had automatically compiled into a pleasant melody in Chen Yulang's mind. Learning is such a simple thing. Chen Yulang fell in love. Chen Jiawei, who was sitting beside her, finally couldn't get out. Even through the earphones, she could hear Chen Yulang frantically rustling writing questions, as well as flipping through books. The most frightening thing is that Chen Yulang's frequency is actually higher than hers. In other words, tonight, she actually lost to Chen Yulang in the speed of doing the questions. When did this guy become so powerful? Chen Jiawei doubted himself a little. Could it be because I'm too stupid, and he's smart, but he's just lazy? Chen Jiawei began to feel a little restless. Her mind was a little disturbed, and she miscalculated several formulas in a row. She had no choice but to cross it out again, and kept scribbling and scribbling on the paper. At this time, Chen Yulang, who was concentrating on the question, did not notice the system prompt popping up in his mind. You used the method of fighting poison with poison to attack the pit breath of inner volume, and successfully gained resistance. Breath of involution's influence on you has been weakened. HP5 HP4 HP3. After a while, Chen Yulang, who was addicted to writing questions and unable to extricate himself, reacted. Is it really effective? Chen Yulang was a little surprised. He hadn't thought of it at all. The bad idea that I came up with on a whim actually really worked. Until now, the damage caused by involution breath to him has dropped to HP 0.7 per second. This level of attack can already be said to be painless, and Chen Yulang can hardly feel any physical discomfort. Probably because the speed of blood loss and the speed of natural blood recovery are close to the same state. Chen Yulang thought to himself. Tear. The sound of paper being torn came from his ears. Chen Yulang looked sideways and saw that Chen Jiawei had just thrown a densely written draft paper into the wastebasket. She took a deep breath, tucked the earphones tighter, grabbed her hair with one hand, and started to calculate at a high speed with the other hand. With so many years of experience at the same table with Chen Jiawei, Chen Yulang can probably conclude that this girl's mentality is probably blown up. Usually, she either encounters a problem that she thinks she can solve, but actually can't solve, or she encounters a problem that others can solve but she can't. Women are scary. Chen Yulang, who was completely unable to guess what his table-mate was thinking, could only take a sip of Sprite calmly, and then continued with the math problems. What Chen Yulang did not expect was, this question, once written, is endless. The student gods and school masters in the classroom slowly left one by one, and in the end only Chen Yulang and Chen Jiawei were left. Gollum. At this moment, Chen Jiawei heard the sound of her stomach. She is hungry. Moreover, my brain was a little tired. After finishing a set of papers, my brain was exhausted. But she was surprised to find out. This guy, Chen Yulang, hasn't left yet. Not only did he not leave, he was even writing the topic with great effort. Chen Jiawei was already dumbfounded. This guy is definitely not normal. She really wanted to rush up to grab him by the collar and shake it wildly, and asked him loudly, "Who are you and where did you take the real Chen Yulang?" But looking at the profile of Chen Yulang, who was concentrating on writing the question, Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com and the attitude of learn from death as long as you don't learn, Chen Jiawei gave up. You. Chen Jiawei probed in a low voice, aren't you going to eat tonight? Let's go after writing. Chen Yulang said without raising his head. Don't you find it annoying? Chen Jiawei asked curiously again. Nope. Chen Yulang put down his pen, looked at Chen Jiawei, grinned and said, learning makes me happy. Chen Jiawei showed her eyes as if she was looking at Godzilla. Ding! You have caused huge mental damage to LV5 Ultimate Learning God. Get, experience plus 17 gold plus 34. At the same time, in Chen Yulang's line of sight, a large gleaming spot of light shot out from Chen Jiawei's body again and landed on the entire table. Full of knowledge points. Chen Yulang hurriedly stretched out his hand and grabbed it on the table, putting it all into the inventory. After all, he wasn't quite sure if there was a time limit for picking up these things. If it disappeared automatically after the timeout, it would be a little uncomfortable. Ding! Gain knowledge points x9. What are you doing? Seeing Chen Yulang's strange behavior, Chen Jiawei asked curiously. It's nothing, it's nothing. Chen Yulang waved his hand and said, oh right, do you still have your May 3rd mock volume? Can you lend me two to write first, and buy must-read questions for you another day? Bang! Accompanied by a loud bang inside. Chen Jiawei's mentality collapsed. Chen Yulang has lived a very fulfilling life recently. In the morning, study. At noon, study. In the evening, study. In the middle of the night, study. It's really a perfect schedule. For Chen Yulang, the biggest joy of every day now is to collect knowledge points in various ways. For example, listen carefully to the class. Crazy questioning. As well as attacking Chen Jiawei with all kinds of wonderful means. There is one thing to say, his female tablemate deserves to be LV5 Ultimate Learning God. It is simply a walking knowledge point storage warehouse, basically every time it can burst out piles of knowledge points. So, with such a smart and lovely female tablemate, of course you have to use it as much as you like. That's it. Every time after returning home from school, Chen Yulang started frantically making memory bread with knowledge points he collected and saved toast. From the initial production, which failed 9 times out of 10, to the subsequent failures 8 times, 7 times. Until now, Chen Yulang has perfected the crafting skills of memory bread. Ding! Your skills have been improved. LV Max memory bread making. It's so fast. Chen Yulang was very surprised. Unexpectedly, before he knew it, his memory bread making skills had risen to the top level, and the success rate of making bread was locked at 99%. Of course, making memory bread is just the first step in Chen Yulang's plan. Chen Yulang is not a very ambitious person, but he does have all kinds of crazy ideas in his stomach. Lang Lang. Xiao came to play with you. Yang Xi's voice came from downstairs. Oh, let her come up. Chen Yulang also replied loudly. After a while, someone knocked on the door of Chen Yulang's room. When he opened the door, he saw a girl of the same age as Chen Yulang standing outside. About 1.65 meters tall, wearing an off-white t-shirt and a plaid pleated skirt, his face is full of collagen, and his whole body is full of youthful breath. This girl's name is Lu Xia, Chen Yulang's cousin, who is in the same senior year as him this year. The difference is that Lu Xia ranked first in Beijiang No. 2 Middle School, while Chen Yulang was at the bottom of Beijiang No. 1 Middle School. In most cases, in places where there are many relatives, once the two are put together, Chen Yulang will inevitably be educated. Lang Lang has to learn more from Yaya and try to lead a good head for his sister. Yaya's words must maintain their strength, don't be proud. Similar lines, Chen Yulang has already heard the ear calluses. Fortunately, Chen Yulang was heartless, and he didn't take such words to heart at all. Otherwise, if you come here with a slightly glass heart, it is estimated that the small heart is now broken into slag. Tell me, what's the matter with me? Lu Xia sat on the sofa and asked casually. What you said, I can't find you if I have nothing to do. Chen Yulang joked. It's not that I don't understand you, brother. Lu Xia dangled her thin legs. You don't want our school flower Xiang Yue's WeChat, do you? Chen Yulang also heard about Xiang Yue. This person is recognized by the boys of Beijiang No. 2 Middle School as the school girl. He and Lu Xia play well on weekdays, so many boys will secretly ask Lu Xia for her contact information. It's not impossible, I can sell it to the boys in my class for 100 yuan. Chen Yulang said with a smile. As expected of you, brother. Lu Xia gave a thumbs up, hurry up and talk about it, although generally you don't have anything good to do with me. I'm your brother, can you give me some face? Chen Yulang scolded with a smile, I want to borrow your notebook for use. What notebook? It's just a notebook for studying in class. Lu Xia looked at Chen Yulang with eyes like a monster. Brother, you don't have any serious illness, right? Go on, I'm serious. Chen Yulang said, your brother needs to study hard. What's wrong with borrowing your notebook to make up some notes? No, brother, did I have a hallucination? You said just now that you need to study hard. Yet, why are you lying to me? After the two brothers and sisters had no tacit communication and exchange, Lu Xia finally figured out the situation and took out several thick notebooks from her school bag. This is mathematics, this is physics, this is English. I don't have a notebook for language, I have written it down in the reference book, you can take a look. Lu Xia looked at Chen Yulang suspiciously and said, brother, although I don't know where you want to fix it, but to be honest, the knowledge points I remember are generally difficult topics. At your current level, it's very possible that you don't understand a single question. Damn it! That's not very good. It's fine, I'll just do my own research. Chen Yulang said solemnly. Okay. Lu Xia had no choice but to say, remember to bring it back to me next week. No problem, you still can't trust your brother. Chen Yulang made an okay gesture. Please go to Heidai Lao another day. No, at least Shangri-La. I know, I know. After quickly dismissing the tollman's cousin, Chen Yulang immediately locked the door. He's about to start living. Do it. Chen Yulang immediately took out the prepared memory bread from the inventory. Yu read www.yuyuganshu.com and opened Lu Xia's notebook. Tisk tisk, worthy of being the first in the grade, what's the difference between this note and the book? Chen Yulang couldn't help sighing when he looked at the dense but extremely neat handwriting that was completely incomprehensible on the entire piece of paper. But it's not a big problem. After all, that's not the point. On the contrary, it is a good thing for Chen Yulang that the handwriting is crowded a little more, so that more memory bread can be saved. Chen Yulang took out the memory bread, slapped it on the notebook and pressed it down, then recorded Lu Xia's entire page of notes on it. Then start eating. New knowledge points began to pour into Chen Yulang's mind continuously. I have to say that the topics in Lu Xia's notebook are indeed difficult to grasp. Usually, only those academic masters with particularly solid basic knowledge can consider spending time on such topics. And now, thanks to the memory bread, although Chen Yulang didn't understand the knowledge points in Lu Xia's notebook, he remembered all the steps and methods to solve the problem in his mind. That is to say, next time, if he encounters a similar problem again, he just needs to set the template. But a new problem soon emerged. Lu Xia took too many notes. Chen Yulang ate dozens of slices of memory bread in a row, feeling that his stomach was starting to feel a little uncomfortable. It's okay, take your time. Chen Yulang patted his stomach and comforted himself silently in his heart. Assimilation of new knowledge is a gradual process, of course you have to eat it slowly. This weekend, Chen Yulang still had a very fulfilling life. In the morning, eat memory bread. At noon, eat memory bread. In the evening, eat memory bread. Early in the morning, my stomach hurts and then I run out of water. After clearing the inventory, I continue to eat memory bread. With this perseverance and fighting spirit, Chen Yulang finally ate all the content before Monday. Although it sounds really inspirational and touching, it is also true that he feels nauseated when he sees bread. On Sunday night, shortly after dinner time, Lu Xia came to Chen Yulang's house on time. "Brother, have you read the notes yet?" Lu Xia asked straight to the point. "Eat. I'm done," Chen Yulang said. "How is it?" Lu Xia raised her eyebrows and asked, "I didn't lie to you, did I? Is it the same as what I said? I can't understand a question." "That's not true," Chen Yulang said with a smile, "although your notes are really a bit messy, you can still understand them after a little research." Lu Xia's beautiful little face gradually showed a suspicious expression of black people. What the hell? She, an ignorant scumbag, actually said that he understood the notes, and even bit her back, saying that her notes were a bit messy? It sounds inexplicable. There is always a feeling of anti-customary-oriented. Lu Xia was a little unconvinced. "Brother, don't brag to me, these topics are all 5-star difficulty levels in any reference book, how can you understand them? I'm your brother, why am I lying to you?" Chen Yulang was dumbfounded. "That's right, there is a question similar to the one in my notes on the mock paper we sent out tonight." Lu Xia took out a test paper from her school bag and handed it to Chen Yulang. "The 12th multiple choice question, please write it to me. If it's wrong, you can invite me to Heidai Lao." "Then what if I did it right?" Chen Yulang winked at Lu Xia. "How could you possibly do it right?" Lu Xia blurted out, but Chen Yulang stared at it a little hairy, so she could only say, "If you do it right, I'll send you Xiang Yue's WeChat." "Bum, I'm not interested," Chen Yulang said with a hilarious smile, "but this year's anniversary event seems to have 4 skins. I'll buy it for you." Lu Xia gritted her teeth. "It's easy to talk about." Chen Yulang snapped his fingers, "Bring the papers." Lu Xia handed over the test paper. Come on. Chen Yulang said. Lu Xia resisted the urge to blow up this showman's dog head with one punch, and handed the black pen to Chen Yulang. She is really curious, what kind of medicine is being sold in Tanghulu, her unreliable old brother. But I saw that after Chen Yulang took over the pen and test paper, he didn't panic at all. Even, Lu Xia didn't see him thinking at all. Chen Yulang seemed to skip this step directly. After briefly reading the topic, he started writing and quickly calculated on the scratch paper. And the logic and order are also extraordinarily clear, and the calculation steps are also very complete and correct. Even better. A clever trick that she spent a lot of time trying to sort out before was actually used by Chen Yulang. And it works just fine. Lu Xia was stunned. She should remember correctly, right? It's only been a weekend, it's only 2 days, right? In this short period of time, her scumbag cousin actually digested all the knowledge points? It's just so far off the mark. It's done. Chen Yulang neatly closed the pen cap and threw the water-based pen to the other side. Choose C for this question. Lu Xia immediately grabbed Chen Yulang's scratch paper and compared it with the problem-solving process on the reference answer. After the comparison, the conclusion is that Chen Yulang's thinking is completely correct, and the problem-solving skills used are faster and easier than the methods given in the standard answer. The final correct answer is also C. How can it be? Lu Xia couldn't believe her eyes. The difficulty of this question is not low. It is a question adapted from last year's finale multiple-choice question. Generally, people who can do it right can at least score 130 points or more in the mathematics of the college entrance examination. But Chen Yulang really got it right, and it was fast and accurate. So terrifying. Are you okay? Seeing Lu Xia staring at the test paper for a long time and unable to say anything, Chen Yulang laughed and joked, if there is nothing wrong, I think you can call the number and make money. Lu Xia rolled her eyes at Chen Yulang, and had no choice but to admit defeat. She obediently took out her mobile phone and gave Chen Yulang a coupon card. Tell me. Lu Xia put her hands on her hips, glared at Chen Yulang and said, have you been secretly looking for a teacher to open a small stove recently? How can you improve so much? Self-study ends at 11 o'clock every night, and there is still unfinished homework on weekends. Do you think I have time to open a small stove? Chen Yulang said with a shrug. Lu Xia stopped talking. Chen Yulang is right, this is the real life of a hard-pressed senior high school dog, and he really doesn't have time to go outside to make up lessons secretly. But Chen Yulang's change was indeed too great, which made Lu Xia unbelievable. Oh, it's just luck, I just came across the same type of problem. Chen Yulang waved his hand and said, you reading www.yuyuganshu.com. If I get some other questions, I probably won't be able to write it. Maybe. Lu Xia said absently. That being said, but being able to write such a difficult topic shows that Chen Yulang still has something in his stomach right now. Even if it is luck, it must be a part of strength. Just at this time, Chen Yulang found out that A. Symbols of. Sure enough. Chen Yulang was overjoyed. As he expected, his old sister, like Yang Shijun, the math teacher, also has her own hidden tasks. Soon, the system prompt popped up. You have triggered a new hidden mission. NPC, Lu Xia details, Lu Xia, a Chinese best friend, is looking for a tutor for her good friend Xiang Yewei to do math homework. Fortunately, you have been included in Lu Xia's consideration. You need to further prove your true strength to Lu Xia. Conditions for achievement: achieving the top 50 ranking in the grade 0/1 in the second mock exam. Chen Yulang was stunned. What the hell? Top 50 in the grade? You must know that in a key high school in a city like Beijiang No. 1 middle school, the top 50 are already at the level of 985 high schools in China. If you rush to it, you can even compete with C9 high schools. Not to mention the top 50 in the grade, he may be a little off the top 500 now. Chen Yulang glanced at the calendar again. The second model is scheduled for next Friday. It's only 5 days. You in the room? Chen Yulang forcibly resisted the urge to vomit, ate the memory bread into his stomach again, and then filled himself with a large bottle of Fat House Happy Water. As of today, Chen Yulang has been eating memory bread for almost a week. He now has a serious fear of bread and toast, to the point where his scalp tingles when he sees type-shaped things. In short, dry eating won't work now, so every time he eats bread, he has to add a little Fat House Happy Water by the way. Chen Yulang named it bread phobia. But what can we do? He has no choice. In 5 days, he must make up for all the basic knowledge that has been missing for the past 3 years, otherwise the second model will definitely be finished. Chen Yulang felt that he might not be able to learn from others in his studies, but he really didn't admit it when he tried to eat. So, in the past 5 days, he ate all the textbooks he had distributed in the past 3 years. Chen Yulang felt that he had fought a battle. Fortunately, the results were not bad. After replenishing all the previous knowledge, Chen Yulang felt that the exam this time seemed to be a little underwhelming. In the past, Chen Yulang didn't understand why books are the spiritual food of mankind, but now he understands. I understand. After eating today's bread, Chen Yulang rode a small electric donkey and went back to the classroom to study at night. As soon as he entered the classroom, Chen Yulang immediately felt a different atmosphere than usual. All the students in the class are working hard. On weekdays, all kinds of playful and slapstick atmospheres were all swept away. The reason is naturally very simple. Tomorrow is the day of the second model test. Under normal circumstances, at such critical junctures, even classmates who don't study very well on weekdays will unconsciously start to hurry up. The breath of involution is coming, the familiar system prompts appeared in my mind again. This time, Chen Yulang wasn't panicking. In recent days, he has become accustomed to this kind of atmosphere and does not feel any anxiety at all. In addition, since he has already developed a certain resistance, the damage caused by breath of involution to him is almost negligible. Chen Yulang took out his notebook and began to sort out all the knowledge points he had devoured this week. Tonight, the eve of the second model test. Chen Yulang was enjoying his studies, but Chen Jiawei, who was beside him, began to feel anxious. She was a little unsure, and after reviewing for a long time, she didn't remember the knowledge points in her mind. Instead, she kept curiously paying attention to what Chen Yulang was doing. And seeing Chen Yulang earnestly studying and taking notes at the World Bank, Chen Jiawei's inner anxiety began to multiply. You have mastered the skill, Breath of the LV1 Inner Volume. You have activated the skill LV1 Inner Volume Breath, causing the effect of anxiety to the surrounding units, and the HP of the affected units is slowly decreasing. Chen Yulang was stunned. Good guy, this is the result he didn't expect. Ming Ming was tortured to the death by the breath of involution of LV5 Ultimate Learning God last week, but the roles have been swapped today? But I didn't mean to. Chen Yulang felt a little innocent. Didn't he just start learning happily, why did he start rolling up? Forget it, it doesn't matter. Who told you guys to confuse Lao Tzu in the first place? Lao Tzu is going to die today. Damn you! Chen Yulang began to organize his notes with more concentration. When the bell rang for the evening self-study, the students sitting around accidentally caught a glimpse of Chen Yulang sitting in the seat. Fuck, Brother Lang is still learning. Everyone was dumbfounded. Do not know why. They vaguely felt as if something major was going to happen in Class 6 of Senior 3, or even Senior 3. Times seem to be changing, my lord. You used Breath of Inner Volume to deal a lot of damage to the LV1 School King, and you get gold +18 experience +19 knowledge points x1. You used Breath of Inner Volume to deal a lot of damage to the LV3 Scholar, Get gold +18 experience +19 knowledge point x1. You used breath of involution to deal a lot of damage to the LV4 school god. Get gold +18 experience +19 knowledge point x1. Ding! Congratulations! Your level has been boosted. Player, Chen Yulang level, LV3, 0/1000, Reputation, 10 Title, The Fledglings IO by Get, Gold Coins +888 Assignable Attribute Points x1. Another wave of unexpected surprises. Chen Yulang never imagined that now he has reached the level that can shake the military hearts of Swiba and Student God, and even caused them harm. And the bounty they get from them is obviously much more than the scholar and scholar. Chen Yulang still chose to add the newly acquired attribute points to his wisdom value. At this moment, Chen Yulang seems to have felt some qualitative changes from quantitative changes. In Chen Yulang's eyes, the practice questions on the table seemed to suddenly become simpler. The thinking begins to be clear, the calculation begins to become faster, and the accuracy begins to improve. A completely unprecedented experience. Chen Yulang felt that his body became more excited. Unconsciously, this day's evening self-study is also over. The high-intensity study overnight made everyone exhausted physically and mentally. The moment the bell rang for the end of get out of class, everyone got up and left the classroom. Except for Chen Yulang. He took his time and continued to take notes. Not because he didn't want to leave, but because he knew that his chance seemed to come. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. Chen Jiawei, who was sitting beside him, didn't intend to get up yet. Before he knew it, he and Chen Jiawei were the only ones left in the empty classroom. A fierce battle without gunpowder or war is being played out between two desks. You used breath of involution against the breath of involution of LV5 Ultimate Academic God. If you look at the blood bars of Chen Yulang and Chen Jiawei at this time, you will find that the life value of the two people is actually decreasing slowly. A subtle and tense atmosphere lingered in the classroom, like a string that was about to break. The situation has become quite obvious. This is a silent duel, whoever leaves first is the grandson. Chen Yulang felt that he couldn't take it anymore. You have entered a negative state LV1 drowsiness, and your work efficiency and physical resistance are declining. LV5 Ultimate Academic God has entered a negative state LV2 sleepy and LV1 irritable. You can hold on for a while longer. Chen Yulang glanced at Chen Jiawei who was sitting next to him. Obviously, her condition looks worse, and her blood volume drops faster than Chen Yulang. The corners of Chen Yulang's mouth began to rise slightly. If this continues, winning or losing is just a matter of time. She can't do her own thing. The second hand moved backward step by step. Finally, Chen Jiawei couldn't sit still. Hey! Just when Chen Yulang secretly let out a sigh of relief and was about to declare victory in the battle, Chen Jiawei took out a bottle of Dongpeng special drink from the drawer. Chen Yulang's mouth twitched violently. Hey, you don't talk about martial arts. Isn't this blatant cheating? I saw Chen Jiawei silently opening the bottle cap, holding up the bottle, and calmly taking a big mouthful. Next moment, the health bar of LV5 Ultimate Learning God instantly soared like crazy, until it filled to a healthy green color. LV5 Ultimate Academic God used the potion, HP recovered, the drowsy state was lifted, and he entered the excited state. Chen Yulang decisively got up and ran. Boss, I can't be bothered. After weighing the pros and cons, Chen Yulang felt that it was a little more important to live than to kill the Ultimate Learning God. After returning to the dormitory, it was already 11:30 in the evening. Tonight, the roommates were unusually well behaved. Basically, they had already finished washing and lying on the bed. Chen Yulang also gently brushed his teeth and washed his face, and lay back on the bed. Just when Chen Yulang was about to close his eyes to meet with Zhou Timi, a voice suddenly came from the mobile phone in the side bunk. Brother Lang, are you here to open the black? Asked his roommate Zhao Zigi. The day after tomorrow will be a new season, and if you don't fight for the king, you won't have a chance. At this moment, Chen Yulang saw the prompt box popping up on Zhao Zigi's head. LV2 Charming Monster, a monster with its own seductive ability, good at hooking up with others and bewitching people. In the past, on weekdays, Chen Yulang and Zhao Zigi did often work together to score points. The other roommates were either addicted to studying, or their rank was too low and too technical, and they were not even qualified to rank together. Moreover, Zhao Zigi and Chen Yulang are considered to be of the same kind, almost all of them are the tails of the cranes in their grades, and they belong to the scumbags who have completely lied down. But it's different now. Now Chen Yulang has discovered the joy of learning. Score all night? Non-existent. At least until I get the anniversary skin. So Chen Yulang replied simply, you can play, I'm going to sleep. Before Zhao Zigi could reply, Chen Yulang had already turned over and wrapped himself in the quilt and fell asleep. The rest Zhao Zigi stared at the empty Dao Blurao interface in a daze. Sometimes loneliness comes so suddenly, before Zhao Zigi can even react. Ding! You avoided the charm attack of LV2 Charming Monster, and caused a lot of mental damage to it, gaining gold plus 14 experience plus 23. Hearing this, Chen Yulang slept more peacefully. Who doesn't love a surprise before bed? But after a while, he realized that something was not quite right. Enemy killing spree. A few minutes later, the background music of the Kenyan game came from the side bunk. Chen Yulang, who had been sleeping a little in a daze, was woken up a little by the noise. Look around. Although there were several roommates who were still lighting the lights and cradling their feet, at least others still pulled the curtains tightly, which did not affect the rest of the others. Looking at Zhao Zigi who was sleeping next to him, he seemed to think that everyone was going to sleep tonight, so he started to act recklessly. My good brother, you are playing games at night, and you are making noises, which one are you planning to do? Chen Yulang couldn't help but say. Ah! Brother Lang, are you sleeping? Zhao Zigi said blankly. I'm still pretending to be stupid, I just told you that I'm going to bed. Chen Yulang was a little upset, and he felt an urge to go back. After a little thought, he thought it was okay. After all, it's the third year of high school, and everyone is busy, so there's no need to make trouble over trivial matters. However, what should be said is still to be said. If it is not changed in the future, it will be too late to take necessary measures. So Chen Yulang simply grabbed a pillow and threw it over, and scolded like a joke, hurry up, the sound is turned off, a few brothers have exams tomorrow, and a few brothers are still reading books, you are making everyone look at it. If you can't go on, you will be responsible for failing the exam tomorrow. Ah, alright brother Lang, I am here. Zhao Zigi shuddered, shrank his head, and quickly turned off all the sounds. Ding! You inflicted a mental crit on Charming Monster, successfully killed LV1 Charming Monster, and obtained gold plus 23 experience plus 27. Chen Yulang glanced at Zhao Zigi again and found that the logo on the top of the latter's head had disappeared. It means that this charming demon has been killed by him. As for whether it will be refreshed again, Chen Yulang doesn't know. Besides, after being killed by Chen Yulang, the charming monster also burst out one or two glittering drops, floating in the air. Chen Yulang reached out and grabbed it and put it in his pocket. Obtain Soul of Immortal Cultivator x1 Soul of the Immortal Cultivator, a relatively rare material, rich in all kinds of monsters who are used to staying up late. God Soul of a Cultivator. Chen Yulang almost laughed at the name given by the system. But this evening, he didn't have much time to study the effect of this new harvest. Chen Yulang closed his eyes and completely fell asleep. The next day. Senior high school students in Beijiang City ushered in a significant day. The second citywide mock exam. At the same time, the same question. The senior high school dogs are not fighting against the whole school grade, but against the whole city. Although it is reasonable to say that Chen Yulang, who has experienced the first time, should have no turbulence in his heart. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com, but this time, he felt particularly uneasy. After all, he is no longer the Chen Yulang he used to be. He's going to him. Chen Yulang sat in his exam seat with anticipation in his heart, waiting for the moment when the exam bell started. Soon, the bell rang. It's time to start answering, the invigilator said. Chen Yulang immediately opened the test paper and quickly browsed through the questions, seeking the motion trajectory graph of the moving point P. The problem of finding the number of intersections. The problem of seeking the three-dimensional median line of space. After a glance, Chen Yulang's mouth rose slightly unconsciously. I love you to death, old sister. Almost all the questions on some difficulty levels were recorded in Lu Xia's notebook before. As for the other relatively simple basic questions, after some hard work before, it is not particularly difficult for Chen Yulang now. All in all, a word. This exam is stable. Chen Yulang smiled lightly and started writing. 15 minutes before the exam bell rang. The mathematics test paper is already covered with dense handwriting of problem solving. Teacher, hand in the papers. In the quiet examination room, everyone's attention was immediately attracted. The crowd followed the reputation. I saw Chen Yulang neatly closed his pen, grabbed the test paper, strode to the podium, and put down the test paper. The sound of gasping for breath rang out in the classroom one after another.